Hey everyone, it is your friendly neighborhood BMW driver here. I have two extremely important announcements for all y'all. One being we've finally reached 100 subscribers, which for me is a really big deal, and I just wanted to say thank you so much to all of you that have been watching, following my content, following me on Instagram, whether it be my family, my friends, or any of you new people who just stumbled across my channel. Number two is gonna be something just as cool, which is I have officially owned my car for just about over a year, and I thought it'd be proper to make a video on the experience I've had with this ride, all the maintenance I've done, how it's been as a daily, how it's held up against other sports cars, and just kind of give you a rundown on what it's like to own an E36 for a year. When I sought out to get my next car, I was coming from a Miata. Now, I needed something that could daily well, I wanted something that was a little bit faster, and I needed something that could handle well, because to me, I find handling extremely important. I also wanted something that I could easily modify and pull power out of. The E36 was very attractive to me because of its 240 horsepower out of the box, its strong amount of torque, you could throw in a little bit of money and it was easy to pull power out of it. Performance-wise, I found that very appealing. Now, it's once in a blue moon, at least for me, that I see a genuine E36 M3 Sedan. Usually you'll see E36 M3 coupes or E36 base model sedans. There's not many differences between the two. For the most part, they're exactly the same. When it comes down to it, the only real differences are the steering wheel, the interior seats, and the height of the chassis, which is about 1 or 2 inches taller than usual. Everything else is the same. The power is the same, the engine's the same, the transmission's the same, and I believe the differential's the same, even the weight. You would think it'd be a lot heavier because of the 4 doors opposed to the 2, but in actuality, it still sits around 3 to 3,100 pounds from the factory. I've done a couple things to my car in the past year, and these are the things that make it different. I started with the M50 intake manifold from a 5 Series. Conversion kits online, really fun, awesome, and bring some life to the car. I then went with a Dynon cold air intake, and then after that, I went with an Active Auto Works tune for the 2. I also made sure to fit my car with a lightweight flywheel from ACS Tuning and a performance clutch with a short shifting kit and polyurethane transmission mounts, which completely changed the way this car shifts and drives. I highly recommend doing that if you haven't already. Later, I realized that my radiator was leaking, so I decided to replace that with a S54 radiator from a Z3M. I also got a Mishimoto aluminum coolant reservoir and Mishimoto hoses. Now, other than the strut bar, everything else, for the most part, was maintenance. You can go online and you can see dyno sheets of people that have experimented with these mods. Now, my car is taken care of very well, and I believe it did have the 240 horsepower, or at least close to the number, over the past 20 years when I first got it. And from what I've seen now, I believe it's pushing around 260 to 270 crank. It pulls extremely hard, and especially with the new cooling upgrades, the engine just runs better and pulls very strong overall. You'll notice to find that stock E36 M3s are 240 horsepower, about 3,000 pounds. When I was stock, if you were wondering what it's like to race this car or how it competes against others, I'd tell you that it's definitely faster than a Miata, definitely faster than a BRZ or 86. Most likely will keep up with an S2000. After the mods, I can tell you it for surely surpasses a stock S2000, a new V6 Mustang, or even an RS Camaro. That's what he's all about. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Let's go, baby! So now we're going to jump at the E36. I'm going to talk to you guys how it handles, how it drives, and my experiences with this car driving around town. Okay, so we're in the E36 now, and I'm on a local road that is a little windy, a little curvy, and I just wanted to tell you guys about how the car drives and what it's like to daily in E36. Now, one thing that you'll notice right away is if it's in good condition, the suspension and the handling stock really isn't that bad. You can easily grip through corners as long as you have good tires, and the car for the most part is extremely responsive, and with the chassis 50-50 weight ratio, it feels really good. The power band is wonderful if you're trying to power through corners or if you're at a stoplight and you just need to pick up speed quick. When you get really comfortable with the car and want to do harder driving, I do recommend getting a stiffer suspension setup. there is quite a bit of body roll, and I don't know if that's because it's a 20-year-old car or the spring rate of the stock springs are just really low. But getting stiffer suspension does wonders for this car, and from people I've talked to and from what I've heard, it's definitely a good route to go. Right now I'm debating whether I should go Fortune Autos or BC coilovers. I know the Bilstein and H&R's or Swift Spring setup is also very popular with these, and it's a little bit more budget friendly, and people prefer those for comfortability. When the car was stock, if I could say anything about the power, was that it was extremely torquey in the low end. Because I put the M50 manifold in, the torque sort of shifted to the top end. I did not for a while have as much power in the low end until I got the tune, but once I did, I gained power, what felt like in the low end and the high end, which overall made this car feel like a real beast. If you can see right now, I'm driving in 95-degree weather, and the car can just pull and handle and just butter through these corners. When I'm in this car, I feel confident, I feel secure, I feel like I can anticipate what's going to happen. It is not the sort of car that when you're hitting a corner really hard, you're uncertain about how it's going to react. It's a very predictable ride, and for a beginner's driver's car, I really recommend it just because of how the chassis works. So daily ability with this car, it is a 1998, it is 20 years old, and when you're in it, you do feel like you're in an older car, but BMW did try really hard back then, and the interior is very comfortable. And not only comfortable, it has a look and a feel to it that is not only timeless, but everyone seems to love. Now, some of the features I can talk about is it came with this business CD radio, which on eBay you can get a aftermarket wiring harness Bluetooth extension that connects to the CD player, and your phone will connect straight to your stock head unit. It has AC, dual climate control if you want to get fancy, and then it has this panel here, which I found the most interesting and I haven't seen in many other cars, especially during the time. So you have your gas consumption. Mine right now is extremely bad because one of my O2 sensors is out, but on a typical day, usually it's around 20 miles per gallon. You can do average speed, you can set that, you can check the temperature outside. You can actually calculate a distance, so let's say I want to go 100 miles. It'll give me an average estimate of how long it'll take to go there, depending on how fast I've been driving. There's also a check control with, it's almost like a check engine light reader. I also have a fuel range, a speed limiter, which basically warns me when I go over a speed limit, a timer so I can time those sweet lap times, and other settings like a clock and just your standard stuff. BMW is not only sports car orientated, but luxury orientated, which I think is kind of cool and really helps this car live up to being a great daily in 2020. It also comes equipped with, as you can see, seat warmers, which is tap on, toggle on. Also has traction control button if you want to go skirt. It also has this hi-fi, lo-fi button, which kind of adjusts the radio settings or the sound settings. I'm not much of an audio head, so I don't really know how that works specifically, but overall I just keep it on max and it sounds great. The speakers, for being 20 years old in this car, are absolutely incredible. The bass, I find myself actually having to turn down the bass, and most people that hop into my car are surprised at how well they sound, especially with the Bluetooth unit equipped. They're Harman Kardons from 1998, and after surviving 20 years, they really have kept their sound, which is really nice when you're just trying to cruise around and have fun. So let's talk about what it's like to have other people in the car or when you're moving things around. Now, I've sat in the back of my own car and I've had other people sit back there, and it is actually pretty roomy. You can go through a long, let's say 3 or 4 hour road trip comfortably. I'm 6'2", and I fit very, very comfortably in this car. These seats are mushy, plushy, they feel great. I do wish they had a little bit better bolstering, but these are the sedan seats, not the Vaders that come in the M Coupe. With the 4 doors, it is great for packing things in the back, throw in your school bag or any groceries or tools or supplies or whatever you need to get around town. It can store a lot. And for being such a small sports sedan, I'm surprised as to how many things I can fit in here. I moved from Tallahassee to Austin, and I literally packed as many things as I could for my apartment and comfortably drove the whole 13 hours away. No problems whatsoever. The highway drive was comfortable. Fifth gear, 70 miles an hour the whole way. It was a good ride. It was smooth, and it went by a lot faster than I thought it would. Even the trunk space itself is very nice. Comes with a spare, a jack, and if you're lucky, a good cool kit, which will save your butt, believe me, many times when you lose a 10mm or any basic tool you feel like you're missing. So if you're really thinking of getting into an E36, maintenance is definitely the most important thing that I look into, whether it be, has the previous owner kept up on maintenance records? Are they good when answering all of your questions? The couple main things I recommend asking the previous owner if you're looking to buy one is, one, when was the last time the water pumps were replaced? These cars are known to have cooling issues and overheating issues, mainly deriving from the original OEM water pump. It tends to fail a lot because of its plastic internals. I decided to upgrade, like many other E36 owners, with a Stewart water pump, which is a great product. It hasn't let me down, and they're known to last for a very long time. Thermostat, radiator, all those other components are also important as well. Oil is the second thing. Make sure this car doesn't have any oil leaks. Make sure all the seals are good. Make sure that it's not burning oil, and make sure that the oil's been changed at least roughly every 3,000 miles. When inspecting the engine, look into the Vanos unit, which is sort of a German version of VTEC. Make sure there's no ticking noises or any weird sounds coming from that, because those are also known to fail a lot. And last but not least is going to be the suspension bushings and mounts. Try to get a pre-purchase inspection when you're going to buy one of these cars. Or at least try to get a look under the car. Make sure that the bushings and the mounts are all secured. They aren't dry rotted or cracked, because if they aren't in good enough condition, it can be a safety hazard, and I would hate to hear about one of y'all getting into an accident because of some old bushings that weren't replaced or lack of maintenance in the car. Now, the thing that you've all probably been wondering is first mods. What's the first thing I should do to my car when I get it? This is a really hard thing for me to figure out, because there are so many different things that you can do to this car off the bat. You can go power route, get some easy gains out of the engine. You can go suspension route, make this thing handle like a complete beast. You can go brakes, you can go interior, make it look badass. You can do anything you want with this platform, and that's what I adore about it. Now, what I did, my first mod, was maintenance. I just got all the brakes, everything checked up. I then went to the M50 manifold because I heard about the restrictive engine, and I really wanted to see for myself if it was placebo or if it was really real gains that you can get out from retrofitting a M50 manifold. I then went to the down and cold air intake, like I said before, the Active Auto Works tune, the cooling upgrades from the radiator and the reservoir and the transmission, clutch, flywheel, short shifter, all of those things. And after doing all of that, I'm actually very content with how my car is. Although, the only reason I went that route is because my suspension was in pristine condition and my brakes were perfectly fine. But it's now time, as I can see, that I need to upgrade my suspension because of the added power, and I need to upgrade my brakes because the way I drive with the car all upgraded now tends to wear them out quickly. So if I was in your position and I have a bone stock E36 M3, probably one of the first things I would do is suspension, brakes, because the M brakes are actually very good off the bat, and then I'd be going for power gains, because right off the bat this car really does hold its own against other cars, and it is still a very fun car to drive, to be quite honest. I will warn you though, one thing that may steer you away when buying an E36 compared to other JDM cars or other car options is that being a German vehicle, getting it worked on at a shop or getting new parts or even sometimes getting mods tend to be a little more expensive than the mods or maintenance parts for your typical Miata or whatever it be. You do have to invest a little bit more money into this car, but in my opinion, it is well worth it, because if you get the chance to drive an E36 M3 that is in its proper condition, there will always be a smile on your face and you will not want to let go of it. Quick warning, if you are looking to buy a used E36 M3 and it does have engine mods or it has been tampered with, be sure to step extra cautiously because you never know what someone's done before to the car, and if they're not putting in the proper effort and care and money into doing some sort of upgrade or maintenance, you'll find that these cars are very finicky and you can experience bigger problems down the road. So in conclusion, I just wanted to talk about why I personally just love the E36 over any other car I've driven. I personally haven't found any other car that drives the way my E36 does, and it's just something about the platform that I love so much, and I think it's just how versatile it is. You can make this a drift car, you can make this a track car, and I've even seen kids make this a rally car, if you believe it or not. Every single day with this is just smiles per gallon, and I love it. It's such a moldable platform and a moldable engine that for anyone that really wants to get into cars and they want to do mods and crank down and wrench on their car, I really feel like the E36 is a good option. And to all of you who are thinking, oh yeah, it's a good option because it breaks all the time, that is not entirely true. I promise all of y'all, if you keep up with the maintenance and you find a really good example of one of these things, you will not be displeased with how it is day-to-day life, how it is racing around, working on all the big shebangs of being a car person, and I really feel like it holds its own in the car community. Thank you so much to all of you who are watching. If you are thinking of getting an E36 M3, I highly recommend it. If there's anything you feel like I missed or you have any questions, DM me on Instagram at M3Woke or drop a comment in the section below. I may even make a part 2 about this video because there's just so much I can say about this car. Thank you so much for 100 subscribers, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. There are big things coming to this channel, and I will see all of y'all next time. Peace out.